Jay, nice and comfy. Just kidding.
Good going. I want to start off with JL. When he was ejected, he stayed on the sideline. He was pretty engaged.
Mm-hmm.
What did you see out of that? Again, a couple of years ago, that rule change would have made him
Yeah.
go to the locker rooms. How much do you like to see that allows the players to stay on the field when something unfortunate like that happens?
No doubt. I mean, because they're a part of our team, and that's why the rule, even though he got kicked out for targeting, having him still be a part of the brotherhood and out there being able to lead and encourage is huge. And he was challenged right after because obviously he was frustrated, and thought it should go differently, but it didn't. And so him being able to respond and you know what, maybe I'm not on the field playing right now, but I can still lead in a major way. And there's tons of different clips on film where you see him. He's the most excited guy on the sideline. And in between series, him getting the secondary and the rest of the defense and talking to him, encouraging him. And that was just huge for him, and being able to have the rule to where you can do that, but also just for him as a leader, as who he is, seeing him grow over his years here, it was awesome to see.
What's the greatest challenge in trying to slow down?
It's a great question. I mean, he's the respect that we have, obviously, for their entire offense, how they do things schematically and how they attack defenses, I think, is one of the best in the country. But Jake Haener, is one of the best quarterbacks in the entire nation for a reason. He's tough. He can make every single throw. He can make it on time. He can create movement in the pocket. People try to rush him. He gets away from it. So he's what makes the whole thing go. And they've obviously got a lot of weapons around him as well. With Mims, the receiving core is one of the best receiving cores we'll see all year. They got a good offensive line that can run the ball but also protect him. And if something does go wrong, that's who Jake Haener can win in the gray. Like he's a guy that something went wrong, he will make it right and turn it into a big play. And he does it consistently across the all over the film. But I think the thing that I respect most about him is just how he leads that offense. I mean, he is the energizer that gets that thing moving at all times, and he seems like he's a big time encourager, leader, gets on guys, get guys going, and those guys are tough to beat just because they never say die and they're going to keep swinging. So we know the task that's waiting for us. Obviously, we played them before. We know the task that's waiting for us with not only that offense that creates a lot of different issues with all the weapons, but you put Jake Haener back at the reins. We obviously know the major challenge that's coming to town.
What's impressed you with Kirby his first year as
Yeah.
an OC there? Maybe tendencies, play calling. You've seen him without Jake and now with Jake
Yeah.
again. What do you see there?
Yeah, I got a lot of respect for Kirby and just what he's done this year. Obviously, even prior to this year, before being the offensive coordinator, a known Kirby, and I think he does obviously a hell of a job with offense schematically, and also just his team, his offense plays really hard. And you can see that, and they play for each other. But I think he does a great job mixing it up. He shows you a ton of different formations, ton of different looks. And so he does a good job keeping the defense on their heels with all the different formations he sees, the different personnels he uses. And he mixes and matches when he's going to take his shots and when he's going to run the ball. And he does a good job making sure his playmakers are touching the ball across the entire game and making sure that he highlights his stars. And I think what he did a really good job of, even when Haener was out, was still using all their weapons and finding ways to get him the ball. If it could be wildcat, it could be different ways to get their stars the ball with Haener not in there. Now that Haener's back, I think obviously I believe they won every game since Boise, Idaho, and it shows. And I think they've done a phenomenal job. And now with Jake Haener back with the reins, it's only improved, and got a lot of respect for what he does.
The Phil was saying after the game they might have an open spot at wide receiver. You can lose Scott Matlock.
Yeah, I don't think we can lose anybody else on defense right now. We're fighting our tails off, but no, it was so cool to see Scott catch that touchdown, and obviously where I'm at in the box, seeing it happen. I mean, it just, golly, it gave me so much joy. Then I look immediately to our sideline and just see it erupt. The guys were so excited. You talk about just bringing the team together when a big dog like Scott Matlock, who's taking double teams every snap, gets to catch a touchdown. I mean, there's nothing better. Nothing better.
You guys obviously have a bunch of guys out for various things, but as a defensive coordinator, do you kind of put the same scheme out there and have guys just be next man up, or do you have to shift your scheme in any way to adjust for your personnel?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's all what your players can execute. I mean, something can sound really good or something that we do with one player, but if he can't play, then we can't use it. You know, because at the end of the day, it's only what your players can execute and play with a high level of confidence that makes it obviously work, or else it's just lines on a page at some point. So, obviously, we're looking at whoever we got. We're going to find the best way to put them in the best situations, and obviously prep them this week so they can play very confident this Saturday. And that's our job as a staff, to make sure we put them in the best spots. And if it looks different because of certain guys are now having to play a lot or start, then it'll look a little different. But we're going to make sure we put our guys in great spots.
Going back to JL for a second, you've been here his whole career. Where have you seen him grow the most on and off the field?
Yeah, I would say the most I've seen him grow on the field, because even ever since he's been here, JL always plays the game very hard. You know, he loves playing the game. He loves football. He always is flying to the ball. But where I've seen his football grow is just how much he preps to now play confidently. You know, he loves watching film. He's studying. He's a student of the game. And so seeing him learn but he didn't start that way. Learning what it takes to prep to play confidently is what I've seen him do over the years. And just seeing him grow from not only just being a really good athlete that can make plays to where now he knows what's coming. Like he's extremely smart, high football IQ, and has taken the time to do that. And obviously, he makes a lot more plays with it that way as well. So that's, I would say, the biggest thing I've seen him grow football-wise. I would say off the field, just his leadership. I mean, he's a guy that will go in front of the room. Whatever room it is, could be full defensive meeting, position meeting, full team, and he can lead that meeting. And he has a presence about himself to where he can speak, he can be clear and concise, and everybody on our team looks to him and respects JL Skinner. And he's one of our biggest leaders on our team, and seeing him grow in that over his time here has been awesome to see. And I'm excited for him to continue to do that as well.
You mentioned that he plays the game really hard, but you've also seen him play really smart at times this year.
Yes.
You know, against Wyoming, he was in position to make those two big picks. As a safety especially, how important is it to kind of toe that line between playing violent and playing smart?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, if anything gets past them, it's a touchdown. You know, and so we talk about setting the umbrella on the back end. It's at the end of the day, they can't be wrong. As long as maybe we wanted to play a certain coverage or a certain check, but as long as our safeties are on the same page, we're at least going to find a way to get it down and be on the same page. We'll be okay. And so making sure just playing hard out there recklessly, you can't do it at safety. Because if they're wrong, it's out. And everybody in the country knows that we were wrong on that play. And so having to play with that controlled violence, that controlled aggression to where you can do it within the scheme and do it within the technique is really everything. And then taking the time to prep so you know exactly what my keys tell me. Okay, how does my technique change based on formation, based on splits? And then now, once the ball's snapped, I know exactly what my keys tell me. Now I can go execute it at a very violent level. And that has shown from him, obviously, over the past couple of years.
With Devin Wright, what was kind of the plan when he came in terms of how much you guys thought he might play? You had some depth in that position, now you obviously don't.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk to him on Wednesday. What have you seen from Devin and his kind of progression to this point?
Yeah, no doubt. I think Devin, and just to name him, but there's even a couple other guys where I think going into the year we felt like, all right, this is going to be a great situation for you to keep developing. We're going to keep pushing him even through spring ball and fall camp, junior college transfer. So this was the first time he's kind of been through the 4-year university and kind of the standard at which it is. And he's a phenomenal young man, joy to be around. And he had a lot of guys, or not a lot, but he had a couple guys in front of him that he could learn from and grow from. And then obviously through injuries, now he's had to step up and have a much bigger role. And so it's just been cool to see him from where he came in January to where he is now, BJ, and in November, seeing him grow as a football player, knowledge of all our defense. Coach Kagi did a great job with him in the offseason, changing his body, getting big and strong. And so he's grown in a ton of different areas and excited for his future here, and he's only going to get better. He loves the game, plays extremely hard, and it's been cool to see him, these other guys go down, next man up mentality, and a guy that early on didn't play much, now is playing a lot, and him stepping into that role and being able to do a good job has been huge. So I'm very proud of him, and obviously it's going to be a huge week for him to continue to grow.
Mountain West Awards come out tomorrow, and DJ Schramm's going to get some votes. I have no idea if he's going to win anything.
Yeah.
We've talked about him a lot this season, but
Yeah.
just his journey from where he was to potential defensive player of the year.
Yeah. I mean, guys, there's a lot of guys obviously on this defense that will get choked up talking about because I'm around them every day and I see the work that a lot of people don't. I see the pain that they push through to get to these moments where everybody sees them. And DJ's just to name a couple. That's why when I talk about these seniors and the guys that have been here, it pulls at my heartstrings because I know what they've been through. I've seen it. I've sat there when times were hard or when no one knew they were there, and they're up at 5:30 in the cold working, right? So I think of those moments when I see what everybody else sees. I remember those times. And so DJ, thinking about him and just speaking on him, is I remember times when nobody knew who DJ was, but he still worked. He was still one of the first ones in the linebacker room, right? He wasn't going to play, maybe a little bit on special teams, but he wasn't in the game plan much. But he just kept working, kept growing his body, surgery on his shoulder, surgery on a hip, keep working. Still the first one in the meeting room, still taking notes, still bringing great energy. Not, okay, I'm going to do that when my time comes. No, I'm going to keep working in the dark because my time's coming. And I don't want anyone to feel sorry for me. I'm just going to keep working. And him just doing that year after year when nobody knows. But now he's ready for these moments. And that's why it doesn't bring me any more joy than seeing that, because it's just, you deserve that. You deserve when you work hard every day, when no one's looking. You're not looking for anybody to give you a high five or tell you, oh, you deserve. No, I'm just going to keep working. When those things pay off to create the season that DJ's had, it brings me just countless joy for him, because he deserves it. He deserves it. And so, obviously, just like every guy on the team, I'm going to keep getting on DJ for some certain things for him to grow. But, I was literally just with him an hour ago. He played 80 snaps or whatever it was in the game on Saturday, and he's in here grinding on tape, getting some freshmen in there. That's just who he is. He's always going to be working. He doesn't look for any glory. He just wants to keep working and take care of his brothers. And if he walks in any position room, into a team meeting, you ask anybody who one of their favorite players is, I promise you he'd be in the top 5 of guys that they just love this kid, because he's low ego, high output in everything he does.
You think he's got a shot to play on Sundays?
I mean,
you're probably going to say nice things about him when scouts call him one time.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if he has a year or not on COVID, but can DJ Schramm play on Sunday?
The thing about DJ is he is one of the smartest football players I've ever been around. I think Scott, DJ, there's a couple guys on our team that just are extremely smart football players. And DJ, what he can do is I can tell him one thing in a meeting room on a Tuesday morning, and he will remember it in the fourth quarter, play 62, where they're driving, right? He has that type of football IQ where, all right, I know when the tailback's here, this area, he's just that guy. And then when you put a savvy tackler, good blitzer, these things together, you get the production you see in DJ Schramm right now. And so NFL to however he is going to go going forward, all I know is I love him playing for the Broncos, and you won't find a guy that's a bigger supporter of DJ Schramm and excited what he's done thus far than me.
What was your reaction to Shea's pick six, and where do you think he's grown the most this season?
No, I was so fired up for him, man. Especially that route concept has hit us a couple times before, and seeing him play it right, do the technique right, and go score was awesome for him. And Shea's another one where there was times this year where he didn't play as much because we, the starters we had in place, and was able to get in. He usually played in every game, but not a ton. And so seeing him, same thing. Just, okay, if it's this week or if it's next week, I'm going to keep growing my skills, keep growing my craft and practice. Maybe it's a bigger role in special teams. And then seeing him now obviously having to step up in a major role with Tyreek Jones and a couple other guys being banged up. It was awesome to see him perform and get that pick, obviously in a big-time moment in the game. And then obviously this is going to be a huge week for him, and him stepping into that role this week is going to be big. And but got a lot of respect for Shea. He's one of our best cover guys on our team. And then seeing him now grow and being able to play different zone techniques and blitz and some of the other things that we need that nickel position to do, he's grown those a lot, and so it's been cool to see.
Defense coordinator, I know you want to put guys in position to succeed. If you looked out on the field on Friday morning, there's points at times where you had 3 starters that played on that first snap against Oregon State.
Oh, yeah.
You had a walk-on freshman playing safety for you guys.
Oh, yeah.
What is the key to getting through all that? And how do you figure out that way to put guys in position to succeed?
No, good question, Jay. And it's been a lot of growth for me, through it, because as you create a plan defensively to attack an offense, you're seeing, like we were just talking about, it's all about what your players can execute. And if we want to play man coverage, but he can't cover that guy, that's a problem, or whatever it might be, right? We want to go win on this tackle, but our guy can't win, then that's a problem, right? You got to create different ways to do it. And so at the end of the day, I'm so proud of our guys being able to step up in these roles and play, which honestly to start the season you wouldn't have thought they had to. You would have think this could be a year where, hey, keep growing, keep developing, play some special teams, and then, your time's coming maybe next year or so forth. But there's been a lot of guys that have had to step up into big roles because of the amount of injuries we've had on defense. And so, and extremely proud of them not blinking. Like, to your point, there's guys that played on Friday that prior to the season probably did not think they were going to play much. And then just continue to work, continue to grow, continue to be in meetings and soaking things up and asking older guys. But then defensively for us, it's just, okay, how can we put our players in the best situation, even in the game? And hats off to our staff. We went into the game a little bit banged up, some guys out, and then obviously having some things happen in the game where we lost even more guys. Hats off to our staff talking, okay, what are the best things our guys can execute? What are the things that we can use here where they can play fast, play confident? And that's the biggest thing for me is always, when you get that call from the sideline, are you going to be like, oh, no, okay, coach, are you sure about that one? Or are you going to get and be like, I can do that. I'm confident in it. I know how I can line up, and I can execute it. And that's always the goal for me is making sure every call they get they can be confident in and executing. And hats off to our staff kind of creating a plan with certain guys in later in the game that they can go execute.
Last question. Jordan Mims has been productive for Fresno State for years. What stands out about him on film?
Yeah, he's been doing a great job for years. And the thing that I like about Mims, and obviously he's tough to go against him, not only can he pound him between the tackles, they split him out in empty. He's a great route runner. He can catch the ball in the backfield on wheels and option routes, and he's a really good pass protector. So very rarely do you see a back be able to do all three. Usually, all right, we're going to sub you out when it's time to pass pro, or we're going to put a different guy in, we're going to flex him out in empty, and they feel confident, and it makes sense because he can do all three. He can catch the ball in the backfield, he can line up in empty, he can run the ball in between the tackles, and so just got a lot of respect for his game, and it makes it tough when you're game planning against a tailback that can do all these certain things. And once again, especially with a quarterback like Haener, there's a lot of different ways you got to attack him, but you better be ready to stop number 7 because he runs violently, and he obviously did a really good job against us the first time we played him.